then let's go and engage the mechanism down the bottom left here. Now, as everyone came up the tower just now, you'd have noticed some chains down the centre of their tower. On the chains, a large and heavy weight. So that's now descending the tower, the chain which is attached of course to the cogs. You're turning your wheels, and if you look to the bottom left corner, the corner furthest over to the right for some of you guys there, and if you follow the drive shaft through, from here all the way through, and all the way right through to the lens that tops of the wheel, basically your lighthouse mechanism is a giant grandfather clock. Now, two things. Keeper works, a working shift for a keeper is lighthouse in the light room itself is 4 hours on, 8 hours off. Two principal things to do: make sure his light is always on, and of course make sure his machinery is running. So, two things: every 20 minutes he'd have to go over again to the paraffin tanks, pump up the pressure, keep the pressure high enough to keep his light on. Every half an hour he's going to wind his weight right back up to the top, because of course the weight reaches the bottom of the tower, your lens will stop turning. Now the importance here is that every lighthouse has what's called its own character. And that was the flashing of light itself. Here at Kinnaird Head, the old light was a white flash of light once every 15 seconds. Full revolution of the lens that's taken 30 seconds. Basically then the ship out at sea does a light flash, and they'll time it to see the next flash. He'll then have his chart on board, and that sequence is flat, and him know the light he'd just seen was the one at Fraserbourgh at Kinnaird Head. Every lighthouse different character, the timing of flash, he knows therefore where he is. If he has, say, a chance, actually lost his position out there as well, if you can also see the light, say, further along the coastline here at Rattree Head at Kinnaird as well, and see the flash there, you can actually use the two to actually work out his position. Works better, you have 3 points of reference, but you can do it with the two. So thus, if you let the machinery run down, come to a halt, or slow down, not running at correct speed, but also compromising the character light, potentially you now put a ship in the area in danger, potential accident, and that's all because it hasn't been done properly here. So basically, if you ever did let the light go out, or the machinery run down, and you were found out the boss is basically instant dismissal. That's how important it was in terms of safety at sea. So, as the main weight goes down the tower, there is a counterweight coming up the other side. Just below us, where this ladder is, before we come up the ladder, across the balcony, you'll notice when you go back down later on, there's a lever across the balcony, so the counterweight comes up, strikes the lever, off goes an alarm, a bell, it's time to start winding a weight. So the keeper puts on the handle just here. Give me 1 second. I'll head in your direction. Correct. Does that get here? And wind the weight back to the top. And the bell sounds like it'll keep the weight reach the top, half an hour to wind his weight again. But from bottom to top, however, does in fact take 95 turns of the handle every half an hour for your 4-hour shift. Also had a little bit of thought here, of course. 20 minutes paraffin, 30 minutes winding up. When it reaches the hour mark in the clock, then it cross over. Must start one before the other because you can't reach both at the same time. Now, you'll see our wheel, lens itself turning here on the bearings and the wheels there. Some of the lenses actually floated in a bath of mercury. So the less friction, therefore far easier to turn, less resistance, so far easier to wind up. But of course, mercury bath in front of you, much more of a healthy safe hazard than having your lighthouse on the lens on the runners there. Now, the lens above, it's only a bit slower lately because we're a bit colder up here. Look up, the actual lens above, I should say, the lens you see in front of you is in fact what's called in service a hyper-radial lens. Basically, this is the largest lens ever built in the world that has a focal length of beam. At maximum conditions, not the flash of light, because obviously we need to be the same height as the tower and the curvature of the earth comes seen in the flash, but the actual lume of the light in the sky could be seen almost 30 miles in flashing conditions. All from your lamp and light your lens. Lens itself an example of a Fresnel lens or Fresnel lens. Famous French brothers Augustin and or Fresnel. Concept being angling the prisms in the glass to capture the light, ultimately to focus it into a beam. A large circular bullseye lens, one either side, magnifies the size of the light. So when you go back around the museum there, see the lenses, you'll see the light source inside. It looks as if there's a huge light source within. It's often in fact just a 60-watt bulb you've got at home. Bullseye lens magnifies the size of the light. Which might give you some sort of idea potentially why. If you look above us, inside the glass today, we have some curtains on it inside the glass. Any idea what the curtains might be like?
Is that to stop reflection?
Sun. But sun in terms of why? And focus it inwards, yes, because what do we have down here? So we transfer it back to 90. If your lens is turning, you have no problem. But as this was manually driven, of course, during daytime, lovely sunny day, the lens is stopped, light is partially switched on. Up there, please, sorry. Come down. And basically, there's no curtains there, sunlight can focus off the glass, off the lens, focus down onto your paraffin tanks, potential fire hazard. Famously happened in 1954 at Fraserbourgh Lighthouse. Keepers forgot to close the curtains, sunlight focused off the glass, onto the tanks, eventually, huge explosion, tanks blew up, and all that gallons of power went up in fire. In addition to this, by mistake, had left a box of flares. Rockets used fog signal up there as well, which contained gunpowder from that era, and they blew up, and your tower went up in flame. Pretty much your worst nightmare as a keeper, out in the rock stations, surrounded by sea, nowhere to escape to, fire in the tower, and very much you're counting your problems just there and then. Basically, on this occasion, they were lucky enough to escape the burning tower, had to try their best to keep as warm as best they could out in the rocks over the stormy night, and a passing ship saw they were in difficulty, and they were rescued. Such, however, was the damage to the tower done, terrible damage. Within it, took 5 years of rebuilding work to be done, and temporarily had to take all that period of time to the problems there. That's all from just merely a case of accident, left your curtains open, so that goes on. Even in modern times, within the last couple of years, as a fire in someone's flat in Aberdeen, basically left a snow globe under the flat, sunlight focused off the glass, onto the flat, and set fire to the flat. Same principle, same way.